Progression is an extremely important concept. When should you be doing more? We do need to challenge the body in order to create change. Over the first couple of months in here, you may not be challenging yourself in a whole bunch of different ways. You're just learning the machines, getting a feel for everything, kind of honing in on the weights and the reps and the sets and all the time under tension things that we've gone over, making sure you really understand the execution essentials so you can do all of these things in a safe, effective, and efficient manner. But eventually, once your body starts adapting to all of these machines and the muscles start gaining some strength, the nervous system gets better at recruiting the muscles that are needed to perform a movement, you are going to need to progress the weight, progress the time spent under tension, and progress the overall challenge to the tissues in question. So the question then becomes, when should I be progressing? When should I be adding more weight onto a machine or an exercise? When should I be spending more time under tension or doing more reps is a poor measurement for the time spent under tension? Or when should I start going from kind of more of a total body workout where you're getting a little bit of stimulus to every part of your body to more of a focused challenge on one section of your body? Hopefully in the rest of this video, I'll be able to help impart some understanding to you in terms of when it is the right time to progress. So in an effort to give you kind of a total picture understanding of this process, I've probably mentioned to you already that the first 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks or so, give or take, of commencing any kind of strength training program, you will see lots of adaptation in terms of you'll probably be able to handle more weight or spend some more time under tension. Almost all of that change that happens in terms of your ability to move more weight and to get stronger is almost entirely a nervous system thing. This thing gets better at telling all of the muscles involved in whatever the movement is, how to route all that signal to those to generate the tension in terms of how the nervous system can get more efficient at doing the most that it can with the amount of tissue that you already have. So you'll often see weights go up, up, up in a pretty quick manner between 6 and 12 weeks after commencing the strength training program. The difference between it being 6, 8, 10, or 12 weeks, when it comes down to it, is the frequency with which you are stimulating your body. In essence, you basically need to stimulate your body in such a way that the nervous system learns, for some reason this idiot wants me to sit on this trunk rotation machine and spin stuff back and forth in a really difficult manner over and over again. So you know what? Because it's happening so frequently, we need to get better at doing that because it's a stimulus that is frequently being presented to the system. If you come in and do the machines once a week, you may be closer to that 12 weeks or maybe even a little bit longer for that nervous system adaptation to take place. If you're in here 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week on all of these machines, you may be closer to 6 weeks on that nervous system adaptation. So just so you understand that you may see your weights go up pretty quickly in the beginning, that does not necessarily mean that you're building lots of muscle. It's almost entirely this thing getting better at firing all of the muscles that it needs to perform the movements that you are asking it consistently to perform. So in the beginning, the name of the game really is frequency. You don't want to come in here and smash yourself into a million pieces in such a way that you have to take 3 or 4 days off before you can come do it again. That's going to extend the duration over which that nervous system adaptation takes place. If you come in and do enough stimulus to where you definitely know you did something, you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh yeah, I feel a little bit in my core. When I put my fingers on there, I can feel a little bit of soreness, or my quads feel like I definitely worked them. But not so much that you couldn't do that exact same thing that next day. You may not actually end up doing it the next day, but the amount you're doing should be such that you can tell you did something, but again, not so much that you would be inhibited from doing that again because your muscles need time to recover. If you do it in such a way that you do so much that you need 3 or 4 days to recover before you can come back in and do it again, that's going to push that nervous system adaptation timeline out much further because you're not stimulating it frequently enough for it to really learn that it's something you want it to be better at doing. Versus if you come in, get your total body workout in, focus on the core, lower, upper, whatever it is that I've put together for you, and you do it in such a volume each day that you're able to increase the total volume over the course of weeks, you're going to get through that nervous system adaptation phase much more quickly. So you want to be somewhere in the ballpark in the first couple months of maybe a 1 or 2 out of 10 level of soreness, that idea of, well, I can tell I definitely worked out yesterday, but not so much that you're like, oh my God, I worked out yesterday, I can't go do that again today. So typically what you will notice during this nervous system adaptation phase of strength training is you'll notice, man, I started off pretty low, but 2 days ago I was actually a whole plate below where I am today. And man, doing this again today, I feel like I can do a whole nother plate or another half plate than I did the day before. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to, but you may feel like the weights you've been doing the past couple days are no longer challenging because this thing is getting better at calling on the parts that it needs to move those weights around, gets more efficient at doing so. You get a better idea of how to move on the machine also, which is an important part of that. And your weights will typically go up in a pretty quick manner. That doesn't mean you should force them to go up, but if you truly do feel like you're buckling down on all 6 of the execution essentials and those weights are starting to be kind of easy and no longer as challenging as they were a couple days ago, by all means, put a little bit more on there. You don't want to ever go from 20 pounds to 40 pounds because that's a doubling of the resistance. That's not a responsible increase. But generally speaking, you can go up in 10%, 15% increments when possible, and just make sure that that goes okay. And then the next day you might be able to go up a further 10%. And increasing in that manner is generally the most responsible and safe way to increase. So in general, across this first 6 to 12 weeks, depending on how frequently you're coming in here, you should notice that you're getting stronger pretty quickly, and you need to make sure that you are still being challenged by whatever the resistance level is that you select on the machine.